Today we're joined by Jody Dupree from Crothers Funeral Home in Gaston Memorial Park and services at Sharon Memorial Park, your local Dignity Memorial providers. Now, Jody, I'm really excited that you're back because you and I were good to have a tough conversation because it really brings an empowering motion for families.
It is a difficult conversation, but it's certainly one that we encourage people to have. Nothing is worse than making decisions on the worst day of your life. That's why we want people to discuss it before that.
Now, obviously, one option that a lot of people look at is cremation, but we think of that traditional taking an urn home and putting it somewhere, but you guys have really expanded what that means if that's how you want to decide to be your final chapter.
You know, we encourage people. I know people want to take them home. That seems to be something a lot of people choose to do, and I understand having your loved one close to you. But the fact is you have to have a plan for where those ashes are going to be in 2 years, 10 years, or 50 years when you're no longer here to be the caretaker of them. And so we invite people, take a portion of them home. There's other things you can do. The thing with cremation is you don't have to do one thing. You can do a lot of different things. We've got glass front niches at our cemeteries. We've got family plots. We've got traditional niches and columbariums. We can even put ashes in space or on the surface of the moon, and we've done it. Not for everybody, of course, but if that's something that interests you, we have the ability to do it.
And I love the fact that you brought up those different options, but what about if people want to have that final chapter together? Is there something where you can have a family be together, or couples, or just people who want to make sure that they're in proximity?
You know, that becomes very important the further you go in life. I've always said cemeteries don't mean anything to you necessarily until someone you love is there. That's when families start thinking about being together, and we do have that option for family areas, niches together for cremation, a lot of different things, but certainly the main thing is to keep families together. We have that ability.
Yeah, and when you incorporate all of these different options and you want people to have these planning services, I want to go back to having those two locations in conjunction with each other. How does that take a lot of the stress off the family when you're not having to travel long distances between the two?
Well, you know, you get a lot of people together, specifically when a funeral happens. There are many people together in one place. I don't think the traffic in this area is getting any better.
True.
Once you get to the funeral home, when the funeral happens, it's so much easier just to have everything happen on one property together. The convenience is immeasurable.
And why is it so important to have these conversations about where you want that final chapter to land? Because I know when things happen, this can get lost in the shuffle, and then everyone's wondering what they would have wanted. You
know, one of the number one questions people ask me when they come to make funeral arrangements is, what do other people do? What should I do? And they always wonder, am I doing what my loved one would have wanted? The reason you have these conversations now is it removes that what ifs. Should I? Is this what you wanted? If you decide for yourself, you write it down. Husbands do it so their wives don't have to. Wives do it to keep their kids from having to make these decisions. That's the loving thing to do.
Yeah, and like I said, the loving thing to do is also to have that conversation right now. I know you guys have a wonderful guide that you've customized to make sure that people can go through all these things from your favorite song to what you want to wear to where you want to be. So if people want access to that, they also want to have a conversation with you or your partners about that final chapter. What can they do?
What they can do is go to charlottefuneralproviders.com, download our personal planning guide. It helps walk you through the process. And then when you're ready to discuss it with a professional, we're here to help.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us and having that conversation. Appreciate you.
This segment of QC Life was sponsored by Dignity Memorial.